Welcome to Nelltown 2 Model Railway. I'm John. This is the place where we design and scratch build, kit build, and do lots of scenery. Well, Happy New Year to you all, and hopefully you'll join me as work progresses on Nelltown 2. As you will have seen on the news and the weather forecasts across the BBC and other TV stations, there's been a little bit of snow in Aberdeenshire, and someone at least has been enjoying it. And due to the snow and being on annual leave for almost 3 weeks, which is fantastic, I've been able to spend some time in the railway room. In the last video, I said that this video would be about painting track, but as usual, things have changed. So here is where I went wrong. Initially, I masked all of the rail tops of the flexible track that I bought, and that was not an issue. I thought it would be easier to save the cleaning of the rail tops and therefore be much cleaner for the locos to run. I then took the track down to the garage, laid it all out, and used a Halford's grey acrylic primer rattle can to apply a light coat of primer to the track. The paint had dried to such an extent, potentially because I hand painted rather than airbrushed, I found it difficult to flex the flexible track, and it just to me felt that I was going to do damage to expensive track work. So I've knocked the idea of pre-painting on the head. Just before Christmas, my trusty old cheap soldering iron exploded in my hand. Fortunately, no injuries, so no health and safety video, but it prompted me to purchase another from Amazon, which I've done, and I can say, even though I've forgotten the make, it heats exceptionally fast and also solders very well, unless it's my skill levels improving, but I will say it's the soldering iron. My son and daughter-in-law, Oliver and Louise, gave me some money for Christmas, which I'm exceptionally grateful for, and I used it to purchase a creatorally, I think that's how you pronounce it, creatorally laser cutter enclosure, which has an extractor fan, and from the image you see the exhaust tube can go through a Velux window. So I've been able to bring the laser cutter up into the railway room, which to me is a much better way of working because everything for the model railway is in one place. Okay, in this image you see the initial stages of track laying, and top right are the two slow up and down lines coming out and going into Wandsworth Town, and they lead into a point network where I have a single point leading into or leading out of the TMD, but access can be gained from both the up line and the down line, and the point network also leads into Putney and my hidden fiddle yards, which will be the up line to the north of Putney and the down line to the south, but these will be hidden under scenery. Again, as you'll remember from the last video, I purchased iTrain ages ago and never quite got my head around how it worked, but having studied numerous YouTube videos by Bob Fuller and read the iTrain manual cover to cover on numerous occasions, I think I'm getting my head around the system. And as I lay my track, I am adding what I'm laying into the iTrain schematic so that things are measured appropriately. I block lengths and I'm getting points and sensors all labeled up. I've totally forgotten to let you know what I use to power the system, and that is the Digitrax DCS 210 Plus. And I've also incorporated a PM74 so I can run a couple of power buses, but also gives me the option to increase the number of power buses if need be. To link in with the iTrain system, again from the last video, you'll know that I've purchased Yamork sensors or current sensors. That'd be the YD6016LN and the ES. Now, I've done the droppers. If you can look at the image on the left, all the droppers from Wandsworth Town have been attached. All the wires are labelled, and underneath the sensor, I've generated a little table on an Excel spreadsheet so I can remember exactly which port has which sensor attached. The TMD has the double sensor, but as you can see, I've only got 2 wires added to that at the moment because that's all there is in the TMD area. But that will generally be filled when sheds come in and I develop the TMD. The far side at Putney, along with the fiddle yards, will probably also have at least an LN and an ES, potentially 2 ESs, dependent on how large the fiddle yard is and how I want to separate the blocks. I've also labelled my point motors, and the astute amongst you will say, how on earth are you going to see the numbers when you've done your scenic work? Good point. I will be labelling underneath the baseboards as well, or on the bottom part of the point motor. Okay, so along with some shaky camera work and lack of focus, this is what I've laid so far track-wise through Wandsworth Town, the 4 lines, and through the TMD, just 1 line at the moment. I've run out of rail joiners, etc. But you will see that the main lines are all going to be generally concrete, but I've salvaged as much of the wooden sleeper from the old Nelltown layout as I can, and I'll be using that in the TMD. And my plan for that is that I will endeavour to scene the TMD that it's becoming a little bit run down and that they've not bothered replacing the track or the sleepers. And so I think I can get away with the combination of the two by that means.